Aloha, this is Poka Lainui. We're on the grounds of Waimanalo Intermediate and Elementary School, and we are hearing some of the discussions going on with regards to the Department of Interior holding hearings on what should be their role in the reestablishment of a trust relationship or government-to-government relationship between the United States government and the native Hawaiian community. One of the testifiers was Kimo Kaleohano. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Kimo Kaleohano. Yeah, good job.
Aloha, Kimo, and welcome to the program. Why don't you tell us what your testimony was about and what your positions are?
Well, really what I wanted to do is I wanted to specifically address the questions that the Secretary of the Interior had posed. What I thought was important is the rules that they're talking about, I forget what the term is that they use, but the rules that they're talking about making really opens up a new can that doesn't need to be opened. Frankly, it shouldn't even be the Department of Interior really having this conversation. It should be the Department of State. The Department of State is the one that should be having this conversation with us. But yeah, that's
the fact that it's a Department of Interior rather than the Department of State. What is the distinction and the significance of those two departments?
Well, in my mind, the Department of Interior handles interior matters for the United States of America. We're not the United States of America. We're the Kingdom of Hawaii. In government-to-government relations, it's my understanding that the United States State Department would negotiate or have conversation with our State Department or Department of Foreign Affairs. The Department of Interior, again, they don't have any jurisdiction here. They don't have any authority. I don't see what they can possibly do.
So by the mere presence of the Department of Interior, it's sort of a suppression of the question of international relations, but more a question of domestic relations between the federal government and its domesticated people. Is that your view?
My view is that I understand why the Department of Interior handles issues like, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I think that all of that, it really doesn't have anything to do with us in Hawaii. Now, I want to preface that by saying I love, honor, and support all Native brothers and sisters, but for our situation, we are not a tribe. We are a sovereign nation. In my mind, it's hard when I listen to the conversations because I put it as, well, what if it was the United States speaking with Germany or the United States speaking with France? That's how I think. It's the United States speaking with the Hawaiian Kingdom. And until someone can show me that the Hawaiian Kingdom no longer exists, which I think maybe the State Department, that's what they should, they can't because it does, but that's for them to show.
Some of the problems is the functionality of a Hawaiian Kingdom and the many claimants to being the representative or the spokesperson for the Hawaiian Kingdom. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this process being taken by the Department of Interior might assist in at least the identification of who should speak for the Hawaiian Kingdom, or should it still be the Department of State that should be in that process of trying to identify who that voice should be?
Well, I think that, first of all, we have to stop and recognize that we don't need to ask permission of anyone to reorganize or reformulate or reconstitute our government. There is a process in place. That process was laid out by our Constitution. We have a process to reorganize our government, and I don't think that that should have anything to do with outside political interest or outside governments. When the United States formed their government, they did it themselves. Those founding fathers formulated their own government without other input. They didn't ask permission. They did it. King Kamehameha III was pretty clear in the Constitution. I mean, he laid it all out. We have a process. We could simply elect our own representatives, and we could formulate our own government without their input or their permission, and especially not any political influence. It doesn't matter what they want. It's what's best for our people.
So you see this as being, in essence, an international interference into a sovereign nation.
Absolutely. It's absolutely an interference.
Well, another issue is then how do we begin such a process of the formation of our independent nation to be able to express itself in a governmental voice rather than so many people claiming I am that voice.
Right. I think it is very important to follow the wisdom of our kupuna, to follow the structure that they laid forth. I honestly, I'm not educated in as far as political science, or that I don't really know that much, but I know that if we can have meetings like this where, I don't know, a couple hundred, maybe that's an exaggeration, hundreds show up then we can have meetings to elect our own representatives and we can formulate our own government.
This is the second time you've mentioned our election of our own representatives to formulate our own government. You have had a process about 10 years ago with a Native Hawaiian vote in which the Native Hawaiian people and only the Native Hawaiian people were able to elect their delegates. That process did not follow through by either the state or OHA. Now you have another process that they're trying to start up with, and that's the Hawaiian Roll Commission. Do you think any of these or either of these processes could be a starting point for the gathering of representatives of Hawaiians to put something together?
I believe that it can be beneficial, and I don't want to negate the work that very good people have done for a very long time. They've compiled these names, and I think that there is a benefit to having this compilation of people. At the same time, this is still a function that the illegal state of Hawaii has done. And my issue with that is that they don't have the authority. We are an independent sovereign nation. And in order to move forward, I believe that we must have those conversations. We have to have all these people join in and have these talks. But formulating a new government, I think, is our responsibility. Because once it's done, I don't want to ever look back or talk to my kids and tell them, oh, look how they helped. We did this. We did it. We did it ourselves.
Okay. Now, I want to thank you very much for joining me and getting into this conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you.
And again, your name is?
Kimo Kaleohano.
Mahalo, Kimo.
Thank
Aloha.
you. Mahalo. Aloha.
Kaulana na pua o Hawaii Kupa a mahope o ka